Hey
Hey,
man,
what's going on, Tolu? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Dude, I can't complain about a thing. I'm healthy. I'm unemployed. I got a kid who mostly sleeps through the night. All's right
Yeah,
with the universe,
that's unemployed as he's working right now. But no, that's good to hear, man. I mean,
dude. Am I working? I I don't think I'm working, man. I'm sitting here with a bourbon in my hand. By the
I'm
way,
doing,
the reason I do this,
yeah,
I make sure to drink during these open office hours
nice.
simply so that my bourbon can be tax deductible.
Are you kidding me?
That's how that works, right?
That's the level I'm trying to get to. You tell me.
Dude,
That's,
Marie, how are you
Hi,
doing? Where in the
her.
world are you calling me from today?
We are in Jersey, so that's where we are right now. Mike's on a call though,
Gotcha.
but I wanted to pop on and say hello and see how
Oh,
everything is.
come on, you didn't want to see me. I know what you were here
The
for. The baby's
1000%
taking
why.
her, she's taking a nap right now.
Damn it.
Um, yeah. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. I'm hoping to
Yeah,
come out soon. I don't know when. It's been a year since I've stepped foot in the state, which is making me really sad.
really?
Yeah, Mike's been on a few planning trips, like quick trips, but I haven't been able to come because I've been working where I had a conflict with work travel.
All right, I'm gonna throw something out there. Feel free to tell me it's dumb, but Diane and I are doing a Wilds couple days right there around the 4th of July. You should try and coordinate
Oh,
with her to see if you can make something happen around
all
there.
right. I'll chat with Mike.
Okay,
My
good.
birthday is the 5th of July, and then Carmel has Carmel Fest that weekend. So I know the
I
stars are aligning.
I think it needs to happen. Yeah, and Lauren's coming down. Marie, have you met Lauren?
I don't believe I have. Hello and hi,
So
Tolu.
Lauren's been
Nice
working
to meet
for
you.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
Lauren's been working with me for the last year or so. She runs the coaching program. She's the brains behind the operation.
Nice.
I just show up and I get to be smart. She runs the show. It's pretty cool agreement we have. But
Cool.
she's moving to Texas here pretty shortly. But she's going to get to come see the Wilds here in a couple of months because Paul Aguirre, our contractor, is he's
Nice.
getting married out at the Wilds, and so
Aw.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
super
basically
excited about
said
it.
that there were two conditions of him getting married. The first was that I officiated, and the second was that Lauren had to attend. So,
I
yeah.
love it.
Hey,
Hi,
Amanda, how you
Bo.
doing?
Hey,
Hi, Amanda.
how are
The better
you?
half.
How are you?
Easy, Nick.
Yeah, nice. Hey, Mike, how you doing, bud?
Going on, Nick?
Yeah. Where in the world were you? Were you in Tennessee the other day?
We were. Yeah, we're under contract on a storage facility in Memphis.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to enjoy some
I do.
music and barbecue as we were checking it out.
All right. Tennessee's good. Not the best barbecue, though, I will say, in the entire country. I will say Texas beats Tennessee any day of the week.
Yep.
Just to make Tolu happy here. I got to say that.
I would second that.
Actually, I will say that 13738 Woodside Hollow Drive probably has the best pulled pork and chicken and ribs. Now, I haven't quite nailed the brisket. Texas can beat me on brisket, but I do think I can go head to head with Texas on the rest of it.
Well, you probably source their meat.
No, I source Indiana straight meat, dude.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I buy full cows. I got two
I know you
freezers
buy
out my
full cows.
garage.
I figured they were from Texas or something.
Oh no, I have to drive to either Kansas, Indiana, like lots of local. But dude, I just so you know, you've now been committed to coming to Indiana for your wife's birthday.
Okay, that's good to
Committed
know.
is a strong word, but we're on the same page because they're hosting a Wilds couples weekend that weekend.
Yes. Girls go out there or what? I'm never invited to these romances.
Amanda
You
said
coming
she's
out to Amanda?
it's romances.
I love it. I love it.
How's the baby?
How many self storage are you up to now?
Well, more importantly, how's the baby?
Oh, she's good, man. Yeah, that's what I said with Marie. She didn't want to see me. She came here because she was hoping that I was going to be holding a baby during the call. But no, she's good, man. She's 3.5 weeks old now. Diane's doing great. She sleeps for 4.5 to 5 hours at a time right now. It's freaking awesome at night. During the day, we have to
Wow.
wake her up for feedings and all that. But yeah, she's becoming a little chonker. She's got, the double chin going, maybe triple chin here pretty shortly. But yeah, she's an easy kid, dude. Like,
She looks big.
Yeah. Yeah, she was born at 7 pounds. She's like 8.5 already. Hey, Monroe.
Hi.
I want you to know that you are the first artwork that I've had in like children's artwork in our house. It's still up on our fridge.
Aw.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to make him a painting.
Yeah, I need something new.
Bailey needs a painting.
Canvas.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, yeah, easy kid. I have a niece who was not this way. And so I was fully expecting to be sleeping like 2 hours at most at night and just hate my life for the first couple of weeks. And then we got Bailey and it was a breeze. So having kids is easy, guys. I think everybody should do it. Just everybody should do it. No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Have 3.
And it's easy.
Does it get easier after the first one, Bo?
It does actually. And then there's like a sweet spot depending on their ages. And then they get over like 12 and 13 and hormones kick in and you're like, I want to get rid of you. They start forming their own thoughts and questioning you. And you're like, wait a second.
Yeah. How dare they have their own
I
minds?
know, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I can help you.
So, Mike, then when's the official cutover before you go full time and you get to move back to Carmel?
No date yet. Trying to collect paychecks for as long as they'll let me.
I like that move. Well, they let you go to freaking Florida for 3 months, right?
It was a month and they were not privy to that. So let is a strong word.
Yeah. What's going on in your world, Tolu?
Not much. I guess for you guys I haven't met. Hey, my name's Tolu. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm from San Francisco, but been here for like 2 years now. And this is the first live meeting that I've joined. I typically haven't had a chance to make the other one.
Yeah.
Kind of wanted to come and get something like get used to here. And so far it's been good. I've been watching all the videos as many as possible.
This is just so you know, this is the open office hours where like I let my hair go down a little bit and I have a little more fun. It's open to everybody, like outsiders like Bo here, who I wouldn't let in for an interview under any circumstances. But
is some of the videos I've watched, right? You guys have been in there, so it's weird. It's like I know you guys don't know.
Yeah, Mike's been on the coaching program. Yeah, so guys, Tolu is in our next cohort that we're starting. Really, I think it's at the end of the month we're looking to get started with the next group. We've I don't think I've even told Bo this, and I talk to Bo like basically every day. We have now graduated 23 students since last year. We've had 2 dropouts in that time. One moved to China, so I don't blame that one on me. And then the other one, although transparently, I think she might have dropped anyway. And then the other one didn't have enough time to dedicate. But in those 23 graduates, we have had 24 properties purchased. Like just absolutely stunning. Like people are actually doing it, taking action. We've got a current cohort going of 6 people who are kicking ass and taking names, and we got a new one coming through here pretty shortly. So Tolu's going to be, I think we've got 3 currently signed up, or I guess it's 4 signed up, and I think we're going to try and get a couple more here before we get everything started and get people moving on their journey. Flora is actually one of the ones, she just joined, who has purchased a property, is flipping a property. Yeah, Bo, you're on the clock now. Flora just hopped on. She wants to know why her house hasn't sold yet. Yeah, no, Flora's crushing it, man. She's making offers on a daily basis. So I really just want to say how freaking lucky I am to have been working with such cool investors, and then getting to work with, Mike and Marie from the self-storage / flipping side of the house, and Bo teaching people on midterm, short-term rentals. Like it's been a cool year.
Hi, Flora.
Hi there.
Hello.
We had Mike Hasagawa on Nick's Picks today. Flora, what did you think of that conversation? Tolu, I don't think has had a chance to watch it because I haven't posted the recording yet.
So awesome. I feel like Nick, did you grow together with Michael?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Mike and Marie, have you guys met Mike Hasagawa?
I
He-
know his name.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if I've met him. I've spoken to him frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a
I don't know
super
if we
nice
met in
guy.
person.
Yeah, super nice guy. He's out of LA. And so we met years ago as we were both kind of starting up. It was funny enough, it was actually David Mowdy, a really bad property manager back in the day, that introduced us. David Mowdy, I will give him a lot of credit. I don't think he meant bad, but things obviously went off the rails. I think he was really trying to do the right thing and was connecting people and trying to help build people's businesses. And so he connected the two of us back in like 2018, 2019. And I remember Mike and I used to talk for just long stretches of time where we would just, because we were learning together. It was like our little mastermind, just the two of us. We would just hop on the phone and talk a lot. And I remember talking through what was my biggest deal ever, I think, from a doors perspective, where, we ended up buying like 32 doors in one go, and how I was able to do that deal with no money out of pocket. Like I talked him through it and he's like, that is crazy. And so like he helped like poke holes in it and help me think through it. So yeah, we totally grew up together, and we kind of took diverging paths a little bit in how we're investing, but overall have a similar mentality. I really like the guy.
Nice.
I was
Yeah.
so surprised to hear that he managed his short-term rental out of state.
Yeah. That was, I can't blame him for wanting to do that. With regards to like, obviously from a price savings, that's huge. And from he got screwed by David Mowdy, if not as much as I did. He got screwed quite badly. And so there's a lack of trust with property management in his situation. And he's in a position where he can, sounds not that dissimilar to the mic on this call, is trying to do his job as little as humanly possible, and is leaning into his real estate side as much as humanly possible. And so he's willing to invest that time. I do probably think he probably could do better with that time versus property management, because he doesn't have a scale. He only has, I think, 4 or 5 short-term rentals, and so the property management on that's quite intense. But it seems to be working for him, and if he's happy, like, and it fits his lifestyle, and it gives him time away from his 4 kids, like, that sounds like a win to me.
Nick, I wanted to ask, how's the second wedding venue?
So we just closed on that. What was that, like a month and a half, 2 months ago? And so funny enough, this weekend is our first wedding there. And so it's been interesting. More and more has been uncovered. The seller, she's a very integrity-filled woman, incompetent, but integrity-filled woman. And so there was a water line issue that she knew about that she ended up having to pay for. That, and I think it cost her like 15 grand after the fact, and stuff like that. Yeah, and like she probably could have gotten out of that if she wanted to, but she didn't. So I have a lot of respect for her. And she's, we helped her out in that whole situation. So it's a cool spot. The business processes we're kind of establishing. We inherited a lot of really bad contracts, essentially, where they were renting out the entire venue for 3 days, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so they were essentially cutting their inventory in half to a third, at least the valuable inventory. And so that was a less than stellar like inheritance. Thankfully, it's mostly just 2023. And so we've got a great staff. I've got the woman who's running that is an absolute just hustler. I love her to death. And So she's doing a really good job. The biggest opportunity for us there is the liquor license. So we got the liquor license at the Wilds. Funny enough, we can actually carry that over to Laurel Mill. I didn't know that when I bought it. It just happened to work out that way, the way our license was configured. And that has proven to be like the greatest. Oh, hey, Steve Lehman's joining. The greatest opportunity to grow our revenue is to do that, because that we're currently estimating our average revenue per wedding from a liquor perspective is going to be about $3,100. Of that, about 70% of that is, pure profit. So being in the liquor business is fantastic. And the way I kind of like to describe that is like building ADUs on your property, finding opportunities for additional income streams, Mike, renting locks and stuff like that on your side, whatever those little opportunities are to gather more of the total pie. I think it's a huge, huge win.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. We're just hanging out, talking about wedding venue purchasing, flipping. Mike's got all his self-storage in the world. So yeah. What are you up to, bud?
I am out evaluating properties, listening to the Indy cars go run around the track for practice this morning, and just kind of smelling the fumes too. Go figure. It was fun. But just kind of doing evaluations for people on their properties and giving advice, doing what I normally do, and helping people out wherever I can help them.
Yeah. Well, you work a lot with Brooks, right?
Brooks is one of my clients. Simple Wholesaling is one of my clients.
I didn't know that.
What's that?
I didn't know that you worked with Simple.
Yeah. They actually are the ones that got me the idea in my head to start doing some consulting and things like that, and doing property reports for people, and just kind of going that avenue. It's important that a lot of people start understanding what's going on here in Indy, what the properties are looking like. Particularly if you're out of state, you got to really pay attention to what you're buying, particularly nowadays with the way the market is, with the tightening of the market. You don't want to get hung up on a property that you think is going to appreciate through the roof when it's really not going to. I see a lot of stagnation right now in a lot of neighborhoods. Everything's just kind of sitting there with a little bit of appreciation, but not much. It's just, I think everybody's kind of either waiting for the decrease in value or something to give. So it's like the dam's just holding right now.
Yeah. I'm curious from your perspective, when working with a lot of wholesalers on that side of the house, how much, like, you obviously know your way around a property. Do a lot of people like not want to know the problems because then they have to disclose them? Like, is there kind of a weird incentive there?
Well, I don't really deal with the wholesalers themselves. I deal with more of the buyers who are going through the wholesalers. So yes, they want to know. And I tell them, and it's not full blown inspections. That's not what I do, but I give, I give an evaluation of the property, and I do videos, inside walkthroughs, outside walkthroughs, a street walk, and everything's done as if you're standing next to me and I'm just going through everything. And I don't, as far as the buyers are concerned, they want to know. The wholesalers, of course, don't want me to give it out because I will pick the property apart. And I've had a couple wholesalers come back to me and go, "Well, I didn't know anything about that." I go, "It's because you didn't look at the property, or whomever you got taking pictures for you doesn't know where to look." So, and a lot of them are more foundation issues and structural issues than they are anything else. That's really the big thing, is what people have to watch out for, are these foundation and structural issues.
Yeah. Well, what I'll tell you, man, I would say the biggest hole from our perspective, and maybe you've already solved this. When we do probably 100 inspections a year, but transparently, the inspection is not terribly valuable if we already have our contractor go out there. The area that I think could potentially be a huge revenue driver for you, if you're not already doing it, is just a sewer line inspection. That tends to be the biggest item that isn't covered.
Yeah, I think with the sewer line inspection, that's something I don't do. I've been told to start getting somebody to get in there and start doing it. It'd just be an added cost. I think what I would do is probably just farm that out to somebody else and have them just make recommendations. But yeah, the sewer line came into play more when the out-of-state people started really flocking to Indy. for as many properties as I've purchased and sold, sewer lines never been discussed. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, the properties that we have bought and flipped, but every once in a while, the sewer line will pop up, and then it's an $8,000 to $20,000 job based on what's wrong with the sewer line. But the investment properties that we bought through tax sale and surplus tax sale and stuff like that, we never checked the water line until we had to. And
Wow.
usually we'll find out from the city that they didn't reconnect, or, and when the city says they're not reconnecting, well, guess what? That's our expense. We got to tear up the road, do all that fun stuff. But for all the tax properties we went through and all that kind of stuff, nah, it really wasn't worth to start looking in and start picking things apart, where the unknown is better off sometimes. You just don't know about it. And
You can't disclose what you don't know.
what we don't know, right? So
I intentionally don't know things a lot of the time.
yeah, and I would say honestly, about 85% of the time, the sewer lines are not an issue. They really aren't. They've been out there forever and a day.
Yeah.
Some of them have been out there for 80 years, and just hasn't had any problems. Yeah, sometimes you need to maybe get them cleaned out, that kind of stuff. And every now and then, what you got to pay attention to is where that line's at and how mature are the trees that are around it and how mature are those roots. Now, if you got mature trees around it, yeah, then you might want to take a good look at it. But if there's no mature trees around it, there's no real reason to start poking around in there.
Yeah. I think we're hitting about, if I had to guesstimate, not far off from you, about 20% of our houses, maybe 25, are sitting with an issue right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if you're working with a large population, we're generally finding the ugliest, most beat up, oldest houses.
Oh yeah.
And so I think it over indexes probably to having issues.
I've actually gone and do pre-evaluations for simple wholesaling. And
Yeah.
when I spot those things, I've been finding out I've been talking directly to the sellers, and they've been telling me that they've replaced the sewer lines. I've actually have come across 4 properties that they sent me to where they all replaced the sewer lines already. So I was like, okay, so these are things that will come up throughout the years. And it also, like you said, it's the older homes, it's the more beat up homes, it's the homes that have been used as rentals. It's been used as a rental throughout the years. Those are the type of homes that you probably might want to do it with, because God only knows what they've flushed down that toilet along with anything else. So you got to be wary of that.
Yeah, jets are pretty cheap. Replacements can, like you were saying, be $8,000, $15,000, $25,000.
Yeah.
Gosh, I think I just had one. It was on a duplex. I had to replace both lines. I want to say it was like 23,000.
Yeah, our biggest one was 22,000, and
Yeah,
honestly, I shake my head on that, going, what a disaster. But it's a learning lesson, and we didn't run our numbers for it, and we bit the bullet, lost money on the property. That's all right, because to me, that was a $22,000 learning lesson.
Yeah. And really, the older the home is, the more at risk you are. You're dealing with 100-year-old clay, and like you said, I think some of the things to really watch out for, just how many established trees with roots that could have gotten in there, because that tends to be the biggest problem.
Oh yeah, and that's what I've always heard is, when the roots get in there and they start cutting into the line and breaking the line up, that's where you're going to have definite issues, and it may not show immediately, but it's going to show within the next 5 to 10 years for sure.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of newer investors, like Flora, Eddie, and Tolu. Like Steve's been around the block way longer than I have here. Do you guys want to ask Steve any questions here? Like I'm kind of awestruck at the moment. I'm kind of seeing a celebrity right now. So,
hey, I think what would be great, Steve, maybe just like a quick spark notes on your background and kind of how you got started in it. But for those who don't know you.
Yeah, I got started in this back around 2003, 4. I've been actually real estate investing, actual investing. I started in 05 and 06, back right at the height of the market. Excuse me, where everybody was, yay, everything's great, fun and dandy, and then the crash hit and everything went into the toilet. I've been always researching the real estate market since the early 80s when I was a kid, and Yeah, I'm 53 years old, by the way, and I've been doing this for about 20 years actively. So I started doing that. The market crashed, it tanked. I lost everything, lots of money, and dug myself out. And I found a niche called short sales. And back then, nobody wanted to do them. Nobody wanted to do them. I'm like, well, I'm going to learn them and I'm going to do them, and everybody can send them my way and I'll pay them referrals. And I did. And that's how I dug myself from underneath all the mess that I made. And I'll tell you something, I was, all geared up and I'm like, oh, this is great, man. This is going to be perfect. I'm buying a pickup truck. I'm buying 2 motorcycles. And now, mind you, I'm single. So I was doing all this kind of stuff back then and everything. And I'm like thinking I'm hot shit, excuse my language. But that's what I thought. And I was king sheep. And on paper, man, I'm rich on paper. In the bank account, though, not so much. But I was getting money handed to me, left, credit given to me, hand over fist, and it all went in the toilet real fast. And I built myself back up, dug all the way out of that, came here to Indy I started coming here in 08, 09, and started really investigating and started pulling the trigger around 2011 and 12, after I met Ryan and Ashley Mullen. So after that, it was kind of, I didn't look back. We were buying properties for $2,500, selling them for 5,000, buying them at tax sale for next to nothing. We would literally go on a certain street over in Brookside, Ewing, it was a Ewing or Keeling, and we would literally just buy a house as a joke and just kind of, we'll see what we can do. But we got into selling turnkey properties, flipping properties, wholesaling properties, doing lending, everything underneath the sun. The only thing I've never done is notes. So I'm a jack of all trades, master of none type of thing. I know just enough to get by and to be dangerous, but I don't advise people doing that. I advise people finding their lane and staying in that lane, because you'll be much more successful than bouncing around the way I do. But I'm able to do so because I don't just strictly invest in real estate. I invest in businesses too. I come out of the transportation industry where I was a truck driver, and I learned the transportation industry and warehousing and stuff like that. So I learned how to buy into that, and I bought into some commercial, actually industrial warehousing up in Chicago and in the Elgin area outside of Chicago. And that's kind of where I make a bulk of my money, and that's definitely hot right now. Even though commercial market's starting to take a hit, warehousing is always going to need to be around because there's always going to be Amazon. People are going to be buying online. So the distribution centers and the transportation end of things will always be kind of my bread and butter on that. But the real estate side, I'm just kind of really, it's a passion. And I love walking through houses. I love walking through old houses. Don't care so much for the vinyl village stuff, the new houses that, that's all cookie cutter garbage. But when you get in these older homes, you can really feel like who's been there, why have they been there, why did they live there, what were their families like, what was the neighborhood like, what was it like back in the 1930s and the 40s and 50s, who was staying there, was there any AC, was how'd they heat the house, how did they do that? I just look for things like that. I'm just like really in
It's like a puzzle for you.
yeah, it is. And the more I look at a house is the more I can figure out what exactly is going on with this house. So is it uneven? Okay, great. But maybe it's stabilized that way. Maybe it's no longer sinking anymore. Maybe it's just the way it is. Can you fix it? Sure, but it will cost you a lot of money. Is it really that, is it really that necessary to fix? Probably not. Most people will live with it, particularly with older homes. So that's kind of my background. I've been through thousands of houses, and to kind of give you a idea of how many houses per quarter, there are 600 houses per quarter through the surplus tax sale. And between me and Ryan, we'd run all 600. And it's kind of we were doing that for 3-4, I think they stopped doing it in 2016. And we were so I've been through all the neighborhoods. I've been through so many houses that you just eventually start getting a gist and a routine of what to see. And I also, when I get in these neighborhoods, I talk to the neighbors. I talk to the people out on the street. I talk to the drug addicts. I talk to the hookers. I talk to everybody, I talk to anybody I can find, people who've lived in the neighborhood for 40, 50 years, tell me about everything that's gone on. And that's how you get to know these neighborhoods. That's how you get to know whether there's momentum or there is no momentum. You can't just get into these things and go, what's the best neighborhood? There isn't a best neighborhood. There is a street that's going to be really good for you. You know, there, Fountain Square, I want to be in Fountain Square. Okay, yippee doo dah day. You know what? Fountain Square is still got roughnecks around there. There's still rough areas in Fountain Square that you shouldn't be going into. Honestly, you just don't see them, but they're there. And there's people in there that you don't want to be around them. Because Fountain Square was a rough, bad area when I came here. And they finally were changing things around with the artists and everything. Bates Hendricks, another one. You know, you can only get rid of so many people, or so much of the not so people that you want around, the roughnecks or whatever, and stuff like that. So you really want to. It's more than just the neighborhood. It's the street. It's, you know, what's going on, because you could have a beautiful street and the two streets on the other opposite sides are war zones. It's a mind-boggling how they don't bleed over. I never could, and I still don't understand that to this day. And I've been down here since, you know, investing in all this around, you know, 2011, and I just don't get it. I don't get it. And then I just ran into a neighborhood today where I drove down, and it was over by Wallace, 4,000 block of Wallace. And I sat there and drove on this street, and I'm a street called Arthington, and I'd never been up there. And I'm like, wow, this is like Woodruff Place. I mean, who would have thunk, you know? And I didn't anticipate something like that. So I still get surprises, you know, even been doing this as long as I have. So, and I'm in the neighborhoods every day. I'm not, you know, just a once a week kind of thing. I am in the neighborhoods running around every day, except for Saturdays and Sundays. It's my days off. So.
Thanks for that. I guess not to sound pessimistic, but if you're from out of state, then and you're not there, you know, living, breathing, and seeing what happens, how do you get a knowledge of what these
No,
neighborhoods?
I do live here.
Huh?
I do live here. I live up on the north side.
I'm saying hypothetically, though, if let's me, right, I don't live there. So for somebody that was out of state, how would you recommend them just trying to get a little bit of that knowledge? Are you saying they just got to get on a plane and go visit the towns, or like what would you recommend?
Oh, I always recommend coming out here. Always. I recommend anybody, and I don't mean you got to come up here all the time, but I always recommend coming out here and visiting, get to know some of the people that are out here, get to know some of the locals, but get yourself some boots on the ground, some people that are trustworthy.
Yeah.
Get somebody who's going to give you videos and will give you content of what's going on around the neighborhoods, things like that. You got to have that person or company out here doing that kind of stuff, and not just somebody who wants to, not like a realtor who's just going to pitch you a property. They're just in it for a commission. Okay. But there are good realtors out there who are more than just that commission. They will go out, they will tell you what that neighborhood is. They will tell you, particularly if they're investors themselves, you know, they're going to want the best for you. I think realtors are few and far between. I think a lot of the realtors out here are just in it for the money and they don't care what happens afterwards. But there are good realtors out here that will help you out. There's good property management companies, even though everybody hates property management companies, but they're good. There's people out here been here a long time. But definitely get yourself some boots on the ground, somebody who's going to be able to go around, take some pictures for you, get a good value of it. Now, even if it's a contractor, pay the contractor. You know, just pay. Everybody's like, well, I'll just get a contractor and have them go out there. Well, yeah, they'll do it once, maybe twice, but then they're going to go, no, not going to do it if you don't give me any work. So if you pay them for their time, it's worth to pay somebody 100, 150, 200 bucks to go out, look at a property and get an assessment done than for you to go spend $80,000, $100,000 and find out, oh crap, this is a mess, you know? Especially with some of these wholesalers who don't want you to have an inspector come in. You know, that's just a load of crap. You know, always have your properties inspected. Always have your properties inspected, at least by somebody who has knowledge. And you know, that's what you need. That's what I advise that people have. And just get to know the locals. But you have to come out here at least once, maybe twice, so you can have that aha moment and you go, oh, now I get why they're talking about this. Ah, this makes sense. This makes sense. I mean, Nick can attest to that because he was coming out here too. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you just gotta, you have to come out and look and you have to see it.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think Steve made a lot of really, really good points there. Some of the things that I think are worth addressing are you don't necessarily need to walk every house yourself. You probably actually don't add a ton of value walking a house unless you actually have some understanding of construction in general. That said, understanding general neighborhoods that you tend to like, that tends to be where the value isn't coming out there. And then to Mike's earlier point about building relationships, that's everything. This entire game is about finding the right people on your team and utilizing their expertise and knowledge to grow your business. So that right there is the value coming out there, coming out to the market. Steve, despite the fact that I live, right by Indianapolis, I live up in Carmel. Steve spends a ton more time out there. He's a whole lot more knowledgeable about the market than I am. I treat my business almost like it's an out-of-state investment business. I almost never get out to my properties as much as I would like to. I just don't have the hours in the day to do it. So I have to run my business kind of the same way you would, although I probably spend a little more time with my team members than most people.
Okay.
Like I have Paul out over for drinks probably more often than is healthy.
Thank you. That was good.
Yeah. Did you have another question? I apologize. I think I cut you off.
If I did, it's not.
Yeah. We've got Flora here. Flora is another indie investor. Flora, did you have any questions? Yeah, obviously you can ask me a question. I wasn't trying to put Steve on the spot here. Put him on
you're
on
fine. I
blast.
didn't mean to take over anything either. So
No, not at all. Just it's nice to have an expert here.
Hi, Steve. Yeah, I might have a question. So what do you think in today's market to do acquisition for, let's say, B plus area? What do you think are some good strategies for deal acquisition?
for doing acquisitions in the B plus area, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
The acquisitions on that end of things, as far as what, cash, how you're gonna buy them?
Cash.
Your cash. So I'm not quite sure what the question was. Forgive me, Nick. I'm sorry, Flora. So what exactly are you trying to get at?
How to get better deals,
How to
basically.
get better deals. How you want to go about acquisitions? Send postcards, start doing mailings, start doing, what everybody else is doing. Send out texts.
Imagine a world here in which people are more MLS or wholesaler focused. So most of the people in my world, Steve, just to give you some context, they are W-2 employees.
Okay.
Who are generally speaking north of $100,000 a year. Might not be in every exception, in every situation, but their highest and best use of their time, generally speaking, is in focusing on their W-2 to try and drive their income, and then they're hoping to utilize that income to buy properties, buy good deals.
Okay. So basically what you're going to be looking for is you want to get with some of the wholesalers here in Indy, and I'm talking the reputable wholesalers that are here. And remember, when you're dealing with the wholesalers, everything's negotiable. So if they come at you at a price of it's $180,000 home, okay, I can tell you right now, knock off $20,000 because that's what they got into it. And once you start going that, then you can work your way up. Okay. Most of them, will get uptight, but the bigger ones won't. The bigger ones will know. And just get to know these companies. Some companies like Simple Wholesaling, companies, and not to just drop names, but Ben Grice, Ben buys houses, the Manships. Get to know some of these people. There's Will Hall and doggone it, New Paradox. So Cortez Walker's another good guy here, and also the realtors. Tell your realtor if you're working with one. Tell them that you want to find some off-market properties. Tell them to start knocking on doors. Tell them to start, going about talking to the wholesalers and see what can be done. See if there's properties out there. But you gotta really, whoever you get, it's your team that's going to be the best thing for you, particularly if you don't want to put the marketing time into it and all that. So find yourself some people out here, and the realtor, property management companies, and wholesalers are gonna be your best bet in finding these properties. Will they be at deep discounts, like as if you're going direct to the seller? No, you won't. You're gonna have to pay the in-between price, but remember, negotiate it. Negotiate it. I don't care who it is, negotiate it. I always do. Every time I see a property from somebody, I'll send a price over. Go,
Yeah.
that's what I'm willing to pay. Yes or no, if they don't agree to it, that's fine. Then move on to the next property.
And-
Don't think
Yeah.
you need to jump on a property just to jump on a property. Don't do that.
Yeah. Unless you find something that is absolutely out of this world. Yeah. Don't feel free to negotiate. Like, for instance, we actually got one from a wholesaler the other day. We paid $1,000 over the asking just to get it, but that's because it was such a slam dunk home run from our perspective. But Steve, to reiterate that point, when working with a lot of these wholesalers, that some of the ones you've listed that are reputable, that we do a lot of deals with, they try and push back and not allow inspections. What's your take on that?
Yeah, tell them well, I
Yeah.
don't. I remember
Yeah.
all. I remember all of them when they started, so I can tell them to go fly on that. If they don't want inspections, then you tell them that you're going to get me to go over there. That's what you tell them.
Oh yeah.
He goes to go.
All right.
I'm going to get Steve Lehman to go over there for me and go spot the property and if they say anything about it, they then tell them to contact me. And I'll get inside the house one way or another. But that's kind of what you need to do. Is when you get your boots on the ground, that's the important thing is you get the boots on the ground, and then when they have these open houses, these quote unquote open houses, that's when you got to get your boots on the ground over there to take a look at the property. That's kind of going to be your key driver. So whether it's boots on the ground, your realtor, somebody who you have confidence in, go out there, get over to that house, take a look at it, or your contractor. Whatever you do, remember, you got to pay these people to go do this. Even if it's your realtor, get them over there or her to go spot the property for you. But if you want an inspection afterwards, yeah, you can get in there if you wanted to. That's not going to be that. I just push them on it. So because sometimes these wholesalers, you're the only buyer. They'll make it act like there's other buyers, but you may be the only one. And it's kind of funny how they come back at you and go, "Oh, remember this property?" Yeah. Remember my price? So, but that's what I advise that you do. Anytime you see the open house, get your people over there and look at the property and get an evaluation done.
So when working with a wholesaler, do you typically do the inspection once under contract, or is it before?
I usually try to get in there. Well, it's usually with me when I'm buying, I try to get in there as soon as I can. And I will go in there when they have their open house. But the difference between me and other people is I already know what I'm looking at. So I don't have to get an inspector in there. I'm going to spot the property. I'm going to go, I know A, B, C, D, E, all has to get repaired. That has to be done. So now I have it in my head. But that's also because I've been doing this a long time. So, I advise that you get it under contract if you can, and then get an inspection in there. And if they're not willing to do that, particularly be careful these virtual wholesalers. And if they are not willing to do it, tell them to go away. So find another way to get to that property.
Is that also your experience, Nick?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I tell people I'm going to run an inspection and that I'm going to have an inspection window. And if they're not okay with it, then they don't get my offer, or I will run the inspection before I get it under contract. Like that's literally what we did yesterday. Is we got something like we knew what we thought. We had a really good idea on the property. I still was going to run an inspection. I had my contractor walk in and I ran an inspection same day and got my offer in because they said absolutely no to an inspection contingency. So I went and got it done before I ever got it under contract.
For the wholesaler, is it that like you at the time are the only buyer? What if they have more buyers looking at the same time? And if you run the inspection before going under contract, it might be a waste of time.
Totally. Yes. We almost didn't get that deal. We almost were not the highest person on that deal. Actually, they said we weren't the highest, but they knew we were the most likely to get over the finish line, that we actually had our contractor through and had the inspection done. So that was like, and so with my offer, I sent over a screenshot of my bank account for the proof of funds. I sent over the, hey, like, we've had an inspector through, we've had a contractor through, we're ready to go. We can close as soon as, early next week. And so and I said, we look forward to doing a lot more deals with you here in the future. Basically, I turned it from a one negotiation situation to a longer negotiation, so that hopefully, even if I wasn't the only one there, they would want to work with me, so that I would come back to them again.
So is your goal, does it involve having the trusting relationship, so that like you would be the first one they send the deal to, and they hold it for you for one day, maybe for inspection before everybody?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely my hope and belief. And in a lot of cases, they might take mine. Like, I might be willing, if hell, let's say Steve knows a really good wholesaler that is willing to let me have first dibs at it. They will take my inspection. I'm willing to give them my inspection, even if I don't buy that house, that they can give to other buyers. So it's more likely that somebody's not going to go spend that $400 to have an inspection done.
Yeah.
And sorry, just for curiosity, like, are you making your offers direct to seller or direct to agent?
You're talking to me or Steve?
Yeah, you, Nick, and just this example you're bringing up. Just
I'm not going direct to seller. It's been an area that we've done, and I've been wildly unsuccessful at, because I am incompetent when it comes to that stuff. I could learn it. I could sit down and spend the time. I haven't had the time over the last year or so to do that. And so I tried to hire somebody to do that for me, and it went terribly. Could not have gone worse. So at this point, I just work with wholesalers who they go direct to seller, and then I buy from them. They generally take a $5 to I've seen a $40,000 assignment fee before here in the indie market, for like a $5,000 to a $40,000 assignment to find that deal.
Got it. And are you using your own purchase agreement when you go with the wholesaler, or do you use theirs?
Usually I'm fine using theirs. I try and use my title company whenever I can. I like Monument Title. We had Missy on a couple weeks ago. So you should take a look at that interview. And you can see why I love Missy so much. But generally speaking, the title company makes sure I'm nice and safe. Steve's smiling. He might have opinions on different title companies. Monument has had an up and down history with some people.
I guess, is there any value in having an agent if you're buying for the first time out of state? Like, let's say you brought a really good team, right? Already, lender, keep boots on the ground. Is there any value in having an agent then?
Yes, absolutely. How do you know how much a house is going to sell? Unless you're very familiar with your market, if you don't use an agent in your first couple of deals and like really confident in your situation, like you're going in there kind of one hand tied behind your back. Right. Like that you need an agent. I'll tell you, we buy, and Bo has topped off, but he could validate if he was still on here. We buy from wholesalers all the time. We still validate our scopes or our ARVs with our agent on almost every single deal. And so if you don't have a great agent, even though Bo isn't going to get paid on the front end of that deal, he doesn't get paid when we buy that property. He knows he's going to get the listing on the back end, that anything on the MLS is going to go to him. So he's more than willing to do that for us. But that's only because we've built such a great relationship with him over the years. I would not feel comfortable running on my numbers, running on Lauren's numbers, without having that looked at by an agent who is literally dealing on these transactions on a daily basis.
That goes back to my point of having the right realtor. And I know Bo's been in the business a while, and I don't know him personally, but I have seen his name pop up a lot. And he's one of the better ones that are out there. He's one of the very few that I know does investments. Okay, so he knows the investment arena. That's the type of realtor that you're looking for.
Yeah. Whether or not it's indie, to be clear, the same ideas still hold in whatever market you're looking at. The more qualified people you can have, like on your team, taking care of you, giving opinions on your properties, the better you are. Like just to give you some context on just how many people touch every single one of our deals. I am one of the least qualified people to touch it. So I touch it. Lauren touches every deal. If somebody else on our team does it, they touch it. Bo touches it. Our property manager touches it. Our contractor touches it. Our inspector touches it. 6 people touch that property that are qualified on our team before we ever purchased a property.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like at the end of the day, I try to be the dumbest person in that room.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm thrilled Steve's here today. So he is the smart one in the room today for sure. Yeah. Hey Eddie, how you doing, bud?
Good.
I'm not the
You've
smartest.
been lurking today.
Yeah, I've been lurking. Yeah, I lurk a lot. Could I ask a question to Steve?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go. I mean, if Steve says
Can
it's
we-
okay.
Yeah. Can we dive into neighborhoods?
Hold on 1 second. I have to take this
Yeah.
phone call. You have
Oh,
to
okay,
excuse
no
me
worries.
1 moment. I'll come right back.
Okay. And do you have
Um,
Steve's contact info, Nick? Because I think like I'm probably due for a trip to Indy. I'd love to meet up with him.
I'm due to bring Steve on Nick's picks. Is what Lauren texted me. He's like, "Does Steve need to come on Nick's picks?" I'm like, "Yeah, clearly." Clearly he's got some answers for indie investors. Yeah, I actually don't. I'm friends with him on Facebook. That is the extent of our, like, we've chatted back and forth. The 2 of us have said that we're going to grab a drink once I'm out of baby bubble, but yeah, the 2 of us haven't actually like texted or called or anything.
I wanted to
Yeah.
pick his brain about Fountain Square because I kind
Yeah,
of
Fountain Square is an interesting one.
Yeah.
It's one of those areas that, like he said earlier, it's block by block. There's some incredible $300,000-$400,000 homes in Fountain Square, and then they're just like cracked out little blocks.
I mean, I kind of want to do a flip this year, and I'm looking at that neighborhood just because the ARVs are so like
They're
it's one of the neighborhoods
compelling.
where they're and so if I can get into a proper so Steve, I was going to ask you about Fountain Square a little bit more. Like one of my goals is to do a flip this year.
Okay.
And in looking at the ARVs in Fountain Square, and it's kind of like you said, it's like, supposed to be a good area. An appraiser told me on the phone like the boundaries where he will like do higher appraisals because of the neighborhood, but it's also run down in a lot of streets still. I think it's still like, I'm wondering like if I were to look for flips in Fountain Square, do you have any advice on streets or what to think about?
Fountain Square in an overall basis is that ship has sailed. Be honest.
Has it?
I'm not
Okay.
saying that there's not flips available. There are. People are still doing them.
Okay.
But that it's going to be your price points are going to be higher, of course, and the opportunities are not as great as everybody makes them out to be. I think there's better neighborhoods to go chase. With is this your first flip?
It'll be my first flip. Yeah, I did one burr, and I have
Okay.
2 other properties under rehab right now. But
So
what neighborhoods would you both for burr and for flip? I'm curious since you have so much knowledge on the ground.
you could look into rural and 10th area by Brookside. You can look over, even though I joked around about that. But in all seriousness, the Brookside and Windsor Park, Springdale, those type of areas are still good. You got a couple areas, St. Clair Place. You can do some in Rivoli Park. Now that's rural runs north and south, and 10th Street goes east and west, and that's all the corners, right? So Brookside and everything like that. So basically, that's an area that you could flip in. It's still cost effective to get in there and be able to make some money. Now there.
Did you say Rivoli Park? Steve?
Rivoli Park, yeah, it's
Rivoli
all
Park.
about rural and 10th, and if
Okay.
you pull up rural and 10th, and you see it's every corner. So Windsor Park's here on the northeast or northwest side, Brookside's on the northeast side, Rivoli Park southeast side, St. Clair Place is on the southwest side. So these are all areas you can look into. You can look a little south of New York Street. and getting to the Willard Park area. There's, that's on the east side. There's some stuff on the west side that is currently catching momentum, but it's still got a little ways to go. That's gonna be over, I call it McCarty Park. It's over by the old GM stamping plant where Elanco is being built right now. There's opportunities over there. There's some opportunities in Hallville, and I'm not a fan of Hallville, but there are opportunities if you can get something on the south end towards Michigan and that area over there. I think you have opportunity more towards the central states where they did all the brand new builds in between Washington and Michigan. You got areas like that. You have.
Are there any other parts of the west side you like? I know there's like, and they're building out that trail near the White River, investing quite a bit.
Right, and that's a project that just came about that I actually didn't know about until I saw the news story on it. So they're connecting all that, so that's got opportunity there. But if you're looking for some on the west side, I kind of go around Speedway and go up by the track and go up around that area. Find yourself a small property. Don't take a large. Fountain Square's got large properties, so the problem with that is that your project's going to be huge, and you don't, for your first flip, I don't advise anybody doing a large flip. I suggest doing something small, make it easy, where you're going to make, you make yourself, 15 grand and just move on, but get the experience of doing something out of state. I see a lot of people take on large properties and they're spending $180,000, and the next thing you know, they're stuck and they can't do anything with it. It's always better to take the smaller properties, even though your profit margins aren't going to be that big, but it's still better to learn, get that nickel, because you'll move it quicker. Okay. And especially if you can keep yourself in between $175,000 to $225,000 range, you're going to be able to move that property a lot quicker because of the way the market is too. FHA, they've come out with new guidelines and things like that for loans. So that's kind of important to know that these are the type of properties that are going to be moving. So that might be something you want to look into flipping. And when you're also flipping, don't look for a gut job. You want to find something that you can sink as minimal amount of money into and still get yourself some good profit on it. But as far as the areas are concerned, yeah, Fountain Square is it's just kind of gone. But if you can find something out there and you can find it for $250 and you can make yourself, sell it around 3.25, $350, and yeah, that's all in. So you want to be all in $250, $275, and sell it at $3.25 to $350. That's going to be your bread and butter for Fountain Square. Bates Hendricks is dangerous area, and it's their numbers are all over the board. In Bates Hendricks is never ever established as it's a $350,000 area. It's always just it's $250 over here, $150 over here. It's just always been that way. That's why I did one project in Bates Hendricks and I swore off of it. I'll never do it again. Just because the numbers are just so far off all over the place. But there's opportunity everywhere, and you may not even want to stick within Marion County. Maybe you want to go outside of 465 and find some good values out there. I mean, there's some good flipping zones like Greenfield's an area that I would look into. It's on the east side over there. You can look into Southport, Greenwood. Even though they're not Fishers and Carmel, they're still lucrative areas where people want to live. Southwest corridor off of Kentucky Avenue, those kind of areas are starting to pick up. Martinsville, things like that. But you may not want to just dedicate yourself to that Marion County in the 465 circle. You may want to step outside of that and start looking outside of those areas and see what's out there, because you might find better value and might move a lot quicker too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Steve, dude, like you stole the show here and I appreciate it. You made my life real easy here today.
I love talking about this stuff. I really do. And like I said, didn't mean to take it over or anything.
I said, you made my life easy. I appreciate it.
I really enjoy this stuff. So I get I can't stop talking. My mouth just keeps moving. So.
Well, clearly people liked it. So, I got to bounce, guys. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. I'm on baby duty here, is what I've been told. So my wife can go get a workout because this kid is rejecting her nap time. But Love seeing all you guys. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will talk to everyone real soon. Okay.
Take
Thanks.
care.
All right. Bye, guys.